We have equated having things with being, so that those who have things are considered more human beings. They are not arrested, they are not harassed because they have things. They have Lamborghinis, they have Porsche Cayennes, they have big houses. So every single person now wants to have things. And the best way to get things is either you get miracle money in church, you go to the occult, or you steal. Natif. We are selling air. We've been telling young people, go to school, get educated, then you'll get a good job, you'll be empowered. But in most of our countries, the people who are living the best lives have no education. The people who are driving the best cars, no education. We've built a culture where we are telling everybody else to comply with governance processes and the instrumental and intrinsic value of governance institutions. And yet those who break the law, either because they are so high up in government, they're untouchable. So high up in the military, they're untouchable. So high up in the police, they're untouchable. They, their children, their cronies, their girlfriends, and their cats seem to live with impunity. And the only people who live subjected to the reformed governance systems and laws are poor people who will never break through the glass ceiling of deified, sanctified, and elevated fiefdom. How do you deal with the fact that in some of our countries, we've governed the people so badly that citizens are by nature bandits and hostile to the state, even the things that the state does that is good for them? We have political cadres now occupying significant positions in government because they are loyal. Some of them are fantastically incompetent, but they are wonderful people. Unfortunately, wonderfulness does not cure the underdevelopment challenge or the ability of external forces to hijack our governance. The middle class is the worst enemy of governance reforms. Most instances when our institutions are beginning to fail, the middle class takes an escapist attitude. The middle class, electricity is not being provided. We buy generators and solar power. We don't even hold to account those who collect taxes to make sure we have electricity. When security is not working, we hire private security firms. We are no longer interested in the police. Everything that the middle class does is to delegitimize the state when we are legitimating our comforts. The fact that we have lost faith in the state is what enables the big gulf between the top, the middle, and the bottom. We're recycling thieving elites who are living half the time out in Europe, investing everything they were stealing out in Europe. Now the problem we had was, we tell these young people, you have to be law-abiding. There will not be peace and security. Based on this lie, that others have a right to eat, and the rest have a right to silence. Right? Silence. Eating is in progress. Oh, silence. And then you then come to some of the elites. You say, but the things happening in your country, what do you think about them? And they say, hey, Aki, it's bad manners to talk whilst you are eating. So they are silent, observing table manners. We have equated having things with being, so that those who have things are considered more human beings. They are not arrested, they are not harassed because they have things. They have Lamborghinis, they have Porsche Cayennes, they have big houses. So every single person now wants to have things. And the best way to get things is either you get miracle money in church, you go to the occult, or you steal. Natif. So what we have done is created an industry of co-conspirators, right from the top of government, the top of mosque and church, to the bottom of society. Those who are deemed as the role models, those that are deemed as the philanthropists, are in essence criminals who masquerade in our society. However, and this is the thing that I came here to say to you, modern day governance reforms must accept others have designs on our countries. You can say, no, my country is small, or my country is peaceful. My country does not fight with anyone. They don't care as long as you have what they need. They are going to come and try and corrupt your politicians, corrupt your citizens. If they can't corrupt them, cause them to rebel against you. If they can't cause them to rebel against you, just cause some discontent. Sorry, I cannot be diplomatic. It is not my duty to be diplomatic. Pan-Africanism is not diplomatic. As black people, we were so, we spent half our time obeying rules. Now, here is the thing. I have a lot of time criticizing what Europeans and Americans and the Asians and others do to destroy our sovereignty. That we must never neglect doing. However, I would be dishonest if I did not focus that the discontent of the youth, their sense of exclusion, is the very fact that our local elite, political, bureaucratic, economic, and etc., have spent half their time disemboweling the state, taking out the honey, whilst the people are on the margins. All they're asking for is a little salt, a little bread, a little something to sustain their soul. I think the most politically unconscious by practice are those in most of our country's leadership. Because if they were conscious by having read book, they are not conscious by practice. Because it is not, you cannot be Pan-Africanist by making a great speech at the African Union and then come back and steal all your country's wealth. Some minister in a country not too far from here was paid $300,000 US for mining rights for people to get between 3 billion and 40 billion per month. So, my friends, most of the private sector in many African countries is really government senior ministers who, at the point of privatization, privatize the private, and they are the owners. And then they are simply fronts for Western interests. Say no if you want, and I'll produce evidence, right? So when we say private sector-led growth, the people are saying, You are asking us to give the thieves more money. So friends, if we are going to have a private sector, it needs to be not only patriotic but competent. The median age of leadership in Africa is 64. The median age overall for young people is 19, but the median age of leadership is 64. Now, in most countries, the number of people above the age of 64 is less than 4% of the population. And that 4% of the population controls 80% of power in our countries. The fastest growing industry in all our countries has been religion. Now, you do consciousness in school, they undo it in church. So I have a suggestion. It is for government and for the faith sector and others to work around what is it that we're trying to build, what kind of citizens. Because on average, religious entities gather 65% of the population 4 times a week, every week. Even the most effective politician is not able to do that. In some countries, a single religious leader gathers between 30 to 60,000 people in a stadium 3 times a week. And the government has to pay young people to come to a meeting like this because they need facilitation to travel. But those religious leaders get paid by the poor. And I will avoid, for purposes of peace and security, calling any of them fraudulent or false or manipulative. I'll just simply call them religious leaders. But the poor go and they pay. Even your grandmother, your great-grandmother pays. So the consciousness we need to build is together with those that control mass opinion on a regular basis. Religion is producing for us politicians. Religion is producing for us business people. Religion is producing for us lecturers. And these people are not going to lecture outside the comforts of their religious base. So I want to suggest religion is a key side of struggle. I need to say this, and I hope someone will hear me in this room. The countries that are leading in manufacturing of goods that we use every day, of technology that we use every day, are not Germany, Britain, France, and America. It's China, India, Turkey, South Korea, and etc. And if you ask us where we are sending our students, spending lots of money for fellowship and scholarships, we are still sending them to the past. That's why they come back with good French, good English, and sometimes even good Spanish. And they cannot produce anything. Electrical engineer, can't fix light bulb. As a former UN employee, I keep telling people, I was part of the lying industry that kept telling people, by 2050, 75% of Africans will be living in urban areas. And I keep saying the only reason why that will become true is because we are not investing in the rural sector. And let me repeat, the majority of conflicts generated by extractive industries or generated by land grabbing or generated by the battle over water are not urban conflicts. Those battles are happening in the rural areas. Now I understand why I was part of those miseducated elites who kept on saying by 2050, 75% of Africans will be living in urban areas. I was preparing our people to leave the land, to leave the rivers, to leave the water, to leave the organic food, to come into town so that those who were coming with money to take it, to invest for their own countries could come. And because they are not that sophisticated in most of our countries, it's easier for big industries and big people who are coming to grab land, grab wildlife and stuff, to corrupt them. That is where we fight from a base. And our base is we cannot be handing over our natural resources, our land, our water, and etc., and only training our young people to become good French and English speakers.
I'm a king, yes, I'm a king, I'm a king.